Hello and welcome to the New World Review. I'm Grandline Waifu and we're not going to say any more than that as an intro because we have a lot to cover. So deep breath and let's go. Okay. Episode 131. I'm not going to say this will be easy because it won't. As far as reviewing goes, the balance of the episode and the things that happened and the thoughts I have around it, they're all complex and they needed time to soak in, and it seems like that's a pretty consistent experience. So I guess that's an episode with a job well done. Going a layer deeper, the colors of this episode were strikingly beautiful and the variation in tone and style were consistently strong. Something Togashi has done from the beginning to now is use a change in art style to indicate a change in psychological functioning. And we very obviously got to see that used to its fullest extent here. I don't have any ability to use punctuation correctly, so this is fun. So, getting another level in on this thing here. The setting was perfect. What looks like a monastery with respectful people watching, with people and things we don't want to destroy, with silence and prayer and intoned hymns and candles that we almost snuffed a few episodes earlier. We were in a setting worthy of deities and demons, and that was a wonderful choice. In my episode of 130, I talked about external and internal locus of control, the idea that outcomes could be assigned either to someone else or the self for the purposes of reconciling an event. When Gon first made the commitment to rescue Kite, he blamed Pito for the situation, and the closer he got to that situation, the more he assigned blame to Pito until he was hardened and pitiless toward anyone, including the young blind woman who had nothing to do with anything. In 130, he began to struggle with the idea that perhaps the blame was his, and near the end of that review, I suggested that Gon would be unable to resolve those two views in a balanced and meaningful way because he's too young. It takes maturity to acknowledge that neither or both those potentials could be true simultaneously. I also suggested what he might do if he were able to resolve that understanding based on how Gon has acted in the past. Well, in 131, we're incredibly lucky because Gon gave himself the time. Sort of. And he managed to resolve it. And oddly, he sort of resolved the situation in exactly the way I hypothesized, so yay me, I guess. There's so much to cover, and honestly, I'm not really sure where to start, so I'll just dive in with the first thing that comes to mind and hope it sort of leads to other things, which is the idea of an avenging angel or a true demon. What I found fascinating about the start of Gon's transformation was that beyond the dark fire, it started with the same imagery of strings that Pito's ability does. At first, I thought Gon was being controlled by something in the building, or that he was being loaned strength by something in the building. The wind that blew out the candles, the nen he gathered, the growth, the imagery was of strings. Of all the things Pito has done in this entire arc, I think the biggest mistake it made was not to tell Gon it wouldn't try to heal Kite. The silent breaking of a promise, a truth that sat in front of a lie, is what pushed Gon to the lengths he reached. And all of it was predicated on a lie. And that's fascinating because I'm trying really hard to find a time when someone has lied to Gon. Not just been cruel or hurtful, but actually lied. And please tell me if I'm wrong, but I can't think of a lie that's been told to him that he knew was a lie. And not only that, but he hasn't told one either. He's all kinds of odd, this kid, but he hasn't told a lie to my memory. In fact, he's gone out of his way to make sure that everyone knows what he believes. It's entirely possible that that is the reason we've been in his mind so little. Why would we need to be in his head if what he's doing is consistent with what he's saying? And so, sitting in what I'm calling a monastery, Gon hears a lie and becomes, at first, what I'd call an avenging angel. The darkness and explosion of power that comes from him searching through the information given and realizing that actually he doesn't care about any of it anymore. If it's so easy to deceive and so easy to lose because someone decides not to stick to the rules, he's going to throw everything away. You can't fix Kite. He doesn't actually care about Meruem in that situation at all. Because why would he care? His only reason for engaging in any of the events of the arc was to reap revenge on Pito for hurting Kite and to have Kite restored. Neither of those can happen, so why care? He forgets that he's looking for his father. He forgets that he's trying to learn why his father wanted to be a hunter. He forgets that there are questions he has yet to answer, and now that I think about it, now that I say it, maybe he doesn't. He goes through a process of growth, and I'd be really surprised if things didn't click together in that moment for him. In that time, maybe he realizes why his father took Kite under his wing. Maybe he understood why Kite had to kill to protect him as a child and why Kite was angry about that. Basically, I keep flip-flopping between wondering whether Gon, in the chaotic experience of understanding deception and the true potential of life for the first time, helped him realize that his father became a hunter because there was no other meaning or reason to life, or if there was something something else. And he didn't have that experience at all. His father's existence gave him meaning. First, the meaning was, understand me. That is something to work towards. That's something to live for. Understand me. And then it became, well, you somewhat understand now. Come find me. Finding Kite was potentially more powerful than any of that because that was physical. More physical than his father's ever been, but also Kite explained that the purpose of finding Jing was to find meaning. Maybe Jing was just a metaphor for existence, and that's not enough. Kite's the only one to whom Gon has ever been loyal. He searched for his father, but he's never given himself over to someone. That was Kite. We saw a few episodes ago what happened when Poof and Yuppie thought Meruem was dead. Now we see the counter to it here. Loyalty is a marvelously positive and powerful trait until it's cut from its source. On Pito's end, I found it interesting that they were sad to kill him. He'd been a respectable combatant to now, and they recognize why Gon had to do what he did when they remember who he was and why he tracked them down, but they have to follow their gut and their loyalty and protect the king. If there's anything this episode did, it was bring together three incredibly powerfully loyal individuals and turn them on each other. Pito's fear of the avenging angel pushed it to do exactly what it needed to do. Give itself over to the power it wielded that it never fully understood. Because we can't forget that the ants aren't finished evolving. They've been developing mentally and physically since the beginning of the arc, and it is important, very important, to be very aware of the extent to which they have evolved in such a short time, as well as the fact that they're not finished evolving yet. And so when Pito tells its power to take control of it, it puts every ounce of its loyalty into that ability. That there, to me, is the end of Pito. That moment is Pito's last line for me. Go beyond. That is Pito's last line. It's not Pito's last line overall, I'm aware, but it's the last moment Pito is in charge of itself. Even though it may have been under Puff's spell, the decision on how to use its ability and the level of significance it held takes the award. Here's an award, Pito. Congratulations. For most willing to do anything in aid of another. Pito has been seen to have red eyes in fear for the king before. More specifically, though, its eyes were red in anger. Despite being in a situation where they were thrown far from merry, when they were thrown, they didn't believe the king could actually be killed by the situation. It was an inconvenience, and it was the anger of a soldier, a lieutenant. The guard. When Pito's eyes go golden in this episode, I associate that with purity, with loyalty, with love. Pito's giving of itself is in body and in soul, and while the outcome is horrific, it proves how pure Pito's love is for its king, which is somewhat unlike the other two guards who give of themselves, but not to this extent. What we see through the episode, I suppose, is a slow reversal of roles. Gon goes from demon to angel, while Pito goes from angel to demon. Ultimately, there is no blame to assign. Kite died, and so they have both gone beyond, burning up their souls for the thing they believe in. And Gon grew up. He went full Super Saiyan. He grew his hair really long and wavy, and it does its own thing. His hair, he's got Nenny hair. Many Nenny's hair. He got himself some serious musculature, and he seems to have gained some maturity. The stretchy sky hair of our age with the powerful maturity to accept it and accompany it. The cute kid's gone. Well, the cute kid has left. As Killua noticed, it was the reverse of Bisky. Enhancer Gon has enhanced in every way. And Pito's last thought was of the fact that there was no way it could go further. The hatred Gon felt for it would burn out like a sun. How many years he had burned up already in the space of a moment. It doesn't matter that Gon is as powerful as the king now. It doesn't matter that he could be the most powerful creature on the planet. He wouldn't use it effectively, and that, for Pito, was soothing. Not for Killua, though. Killua's had a hard day. The person he cares about most dismissed him severally. He's had a cry about it, stopped a butterfly from killing an ungrateful hostage, and arrives just in time to see that any chance he had with Gon is now going to be seriously awkward because of the decades of age difference between them. Oh, and his friend decides to go supernova after stabbing a corpse with his own dismembered arm. Poor kid. The changes in art style took us through the last moments of life before that supernova moment, and I just feel bad for my poor boy, because Gon warned him back in the game that anything to do with his dad was a priority over Killua's existence, and he's happy to prove it. Well, I mean, maybe not happy, but he's proved it many times. And this moment sort of points out that Kite was more of a dad than his dad, given the lengths he's gone to. I was genuinely afraid that in all of that, all of the emotions, all of the big things that happened at the end of this episode, that Killua would give his life to stop Gon from being hit by Terpsichore. And on reflection, I actually think I'd have preferred it if that had happened. If Killua dies now, he knows he died because Gon cared more about something else than him, rather than dying knowing he gave his life for something he believed in. I don't know. I think I'd prefer that. Dying with his friend essentially saying he had no reason to live anymore and taking him along for the ride? That's just not cricket. Beyond which, it's sad that Gon says he's finished the job the way Kite taught him to. Kite didn't want to kill anyone or anything, but told Gon that in order to save people, he had to do a horrific thing. Who was Gon saving by killing Pito? Does he even remember? There are more episodes and only one person who could see the situation as it exists now, so I can only assume or hope that more will happen in this location and that my little murder boy, well, the little murder boy and his man crush will survive. I can't say there are many people who have punched someone using their own dismembered arm, so that gets to go into the Hall of Fame for most absurd combat move. Gon and Pito made their choices. Pito to protect its king, Gon to punish them both for the death of the only person he was loyal to, which was, in fact, the thing that I predicted would happen if he could gain that level of maturity. After allowing Kite's body to punch him all those episodes ago, he finally got to experience the punishment he thought he deserved. Killua also made his choice, and his was the most pacifistic choice of them, and I do wonder what Killua would do if Gon were gone. While he has powerful emotions too, I think oddly he expresses them more healthily than Gon does, and so I doubt he'd use his rage to become an avenging alien? I doubt he'd use his rage to become an avenging angel, or a ghostly storm and destroy everything because Gon is dead. If the story continues as it should, Pito and Gon should, by rights, both die. That said, the series continues and they've managed to get out of it in very strange ways, so we'll see soon. But not now, because that's it from me. If you enjoyed this long delve into a single episode, hit like, share and subscribe, take a nap, and I'll see you next time.